Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. So I know you noticed that I have slowed down on the videos. That's pretty much because I'm ass deep in school and, kind of need to balance out both worlds. So that's why nothing, I know a few people have messaged me concerned I am okay, just, busy with school. So the topic of this video, I actually get asked this question quite a bit. I'm kind of surprised, but not surprised at the same time. And the question is, after what happened to me, do I love differently? Do I feel love differently? And for a while there, I couldn't answer the questions. I didn't know how to answer them. But I have come to realize that yes, I and it's not a simple yes either. Look, I was never naive to the fact that love is hard. Can be challenging. I was around two parents that showed that yes, a marriage can be hard. Yes, you have to work at a marriage. And yes, you can't give up on each other. Grow together, learn together, continue to experience life together. But it is a challenge. It does take a lot of effort and time and energy, especially when you throw kids into the mix. But I was aware of that. I was never I saw my parents fight, I saw the hard times. I was never, one of those girls that grew up on the fairy tales. That yes, I did watch the Disney movies, and Prince Charming, and how kind of simple it seemed for certain Disney movies. I'm not saying all, but oh, you live happily ever after and nothing's gonna go wrong, right? I was aware of those movies, but I also was aware that that's not how life goes. I didn't live in that fairy tale world. So, but I I have found that I know this is gonna contradict what I said, but just let me say it and then I'll explain it. I have realized that my love is no longer pure. It was damaged. I'm not stupid. I know that. My heart was damaged, my mind was damaged, my body was damaged, my emotions were damaged. All of me was damaged. And the way that I love somebody is totally different. I feel like, not that I experienced what real love was in the beginning. For me personally, it was a crush, right? And then it turned into something dark and twisted. And yes, I did have feelings for him, but when it comes down to it, there was a time when I talked about it in my Q&A, when the first 6 months of the relationship was really good, and I thought, again, I was young and stupid, that, maybe, just maybe, that I could have a future with this person, over time, right? I knew that there was going to be a lot of hurdles, but a small piece of me saw myself with that person, the person that, listened and cared about me and laughed, and that all got taken away, right? And again, I'm not naive to that, or innocent, for that matter. I did stuff that wasn't clean, to survive. I am well aware of that. So the way that I love is different, but I also learned that I had to love myself first in order to be able to love somebody. Now, I'm not saying that I love myself every single day of my life. Probably not. There are days where, I dislike myself. I regret certain choices in my life. And, it's not all like rainbows and butterflies. But I do love myself, even though, I put on weight. I lose weight, I break out in acne, My depression can be a bitch. My anxiety can be a real bitch. I might not like my hair a certain day. Like, I'm well aware of it, right? But when it comes down to the root of it, I do love myself. I do respect myself. I had to, relearn that kind of love for myself. And once I got to that point, not that I had high standards of any matter of, like, I went in there with, like, all these expectations of a human being. Did not. I don't really have any expectations. And I know how that sounds. That sounds kind of a little bit like, oh, you have no respect for yourself. And this is what I'm gonna explain here. I don't want to put pressure on myself to have all these expectations of a person, that yes, I do want somebody that's funny and caring, sweet and kind, and again, their own person. So yes, are we gonna have disagreements? Hell yeah. Are we gonna have fights? Hell yeah. But are willing to work for them? Yes, I have those simple things, right? Of course I do. But I don't want to have these, like, high expectations that nobody on earth will meet, and then be disappointed when it doesn't happen, right? I want to love the person for who they are, and, so what, they're not perfect. I'm not fucking perfect. I have made some shitty choices in life, and I have baggage up the yin-yang. But I do and will love differently. I know I'm gonna be guarded. I have been guarded, and that's okay. I know it's gonna be frustrating for people in my life, especially loved ones. And the way that I communicate is different to some people. And I know some people are needy and need all that attention and reassuring and, the constant praise, right? And appreciation. I know that there are some people out there, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I'm gonna deny them of that. Of course not. I'm just, I guess a word to explain it is, my love is broken. It's not as pure as it once was. How I, not that I had an image, but, how I saw love. That yes, it was going to be challenging, but it could be exciting and happy, sad, frustrating, all of that. But I got the left hook of that nastiness that love could turn into. That it's not love. It's not anything kind, and yes, do I have love and respect for humanity? Of course. It's just my love is different. The way that I love is different, and it's very hard to explain. Like, it's in my head, and trying to get it out into words, it's interesting, because I know a lot of people aren't gonna understand that. I'm okay, and I respect that, and I'm very thankful that most people won't understand that, because they have never been in a situation like that. Yes, have some, of course, and they might understand it or they might not. Everybody's emotions and how they deal with things are different. And I was in this weird place where I thought that I was unlovable, that I was completely damaged, and nobody would love me. And if it was love, it was pity, right? I used to be in that state of mind. Now, I know that, some days I might feel like that, and that's okay, but I don't feel like that all the time. But I feel sometimes that when somebody loves me and they won't be able to love all of me, that they want to save me, that, once they hear about what I went through, they want to save me from that, be my knight in shining armor. And here's the thing, they can't save me from that, even though they want to. And I know how this sounds. They can't. I already went through it, There's no time machine that can go back and fix that. And I do think that some people won't be able to love all of me, because there are a lot of parts of me that are damaged and not good, and that are hard to love, right? And when I say not good, I'm not saying that like there's part of me that's I'm a horrible human being. I'm just saying that there's some demons that are very hard to see, because they're not me. So it would be very hard for them to love me when, those demons come knocking. And because they can't see it. So, they're going to be stressed and frustrated because they can't help me. And then they're going to feel bad because they're like, oh, well, we shouldn't be feeling this way because you're going to see it. And it's going to be a challenge, right? And, I expect that it's, yes, love is complicated, and it is beautiful. But when somebody has gone through a trauma, it adds on another layer of challenge, especially within a relationship. For me, it took a long time for somebody to even hug me. And sometimes I still have a hard time with people hugging me and touching me. Not in a sexual way, just like touching me in general. 'Cause of everything that I went through. And it's sad. It's sad for me, and I'm sure it's sad for people around me that don't understand that. So to have a physical connection with somebody in a relationship is a lot challenging, It is going to be challenging, especially with somebody that is very physical, that needs that constant physical aspect of a relationship, because some people are like that. I get that, and there are certain things that I need to work on to not explain it, but just to kind of reassure myself that I'm okay, that I'm safe, that type of thing. It was funny when I when I first got into a healthy relationship outside of that. Sean has given me permission to talk about this. It might make some people uncomfortable hearing this, so I apologize to those who watch my video and they know me. And they might not understand this, but when I was, Sean taught me a lot about myself, and helped me heal. And, we don't talk about it to this day, not like our relationship, just the way that he has helped me, I was in a safe bubble with this security team that I used to work, and most of us are really good, well, all of us are still really good friends to this day, but there was 4 that I was really close with, and one of them unfortunately passed away overseas. That was a devastating blow to all of us, especially Sean, because that was his best friend. They grew up together, and you know, even though we weren't in that relationship status or whatever, you know, we still learned a lot about each other. And getting back onto this whole, you know, loving differently type of thing, you know, these guys made me feel safe. I know how this sounds, guys. But see, like, I grew up with guys, and this might sound weird, but I grew up with guys. You know, that was my thing. I was a tom girl. That was the thing. I felt comfortable with dudes, not in a, you know, whatever. I just felt comfortable with dudes, you know, and I never exactly got along with females because I saw things very differently. And you know, when this abuse happened for those years and then after, not that I stopped trusting males. I had trust issues up the ass with a lot of people. Just these guys kind of grounded me, you know, and respected my situation when they learned about it. But even before they learned about it, they saw certain things that I did. Like, you know, if, like, they came up behind me, like, not in a weird way, like, oh, hey, like, you know, how some people come up behind you, like, I would jump or I would tense. They noticed that. They didn't bring it up. They didn't sit me down and give me a lecture about it or whatever. They respected that, you know, when they said, oh, like, hey, Jess, when they were coming up to me instead of, you know, just doing the quiet thing, the stealth. So, like, you know, it's like, put on a bell, people. But, you know, and they respected, like, touching, not, again, sexual, but, like, a hug or, like, a brush against the arm or, like, oh, hey, like, reaching to, like, oh, are you okay type of thing. Like, they respected those boundaries. And when I slowly started to get, like, reconnected, I guess, with those connections, it was very rushed, you know. It wasn't like a time period was stamped on it. It wasn't like you needed to figure this shit out now, right? Like, there was no rush. And when, you know, I first got that kind of like relationship type hug and I had that breakdown, I talked about it in a video, and, you know, Sean was very, very sweet and kind. Like, he picked me up and, like, we talked about it, and, like, he stayed with me, and, like, I was kind of freaking out because I didn't know why I was upset, like, and it was just a whole emotional thing. And I was vulnerable, you know, I was able to break down and have that connection with somebody that respected me as a human being. And I hadn't had that in so long, and I forgot what it felt like, you know. And it was teaching me to, you know, that it was okay to be this way. You know, it sucks. It really sucks. But it was okay that, you know, he still loved me and saw me and, you know, didn't pressure or, you know, sit me down and give me a lecture or anything. He just let me be and let us talk flowingly without, like, setting a time period of, like, ready to talk, right? And moving on from that, I'm always going to be thankful, and I'm always going to be tied to these guys that showed me, you know, how to love myself again, you know, that it was okay to love myself. And, you know, relationships after that, you know, some of them were pretty shitty, you know, and then, you know, just trying to figure out, you know, your status in a relationship and figuring out, you know, what you want in, from a relationship, and then, you know, worrying about your partner, and that could be stress, like, you know, constantly, you know, trying to figure out what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right, and just trying to make them happy. And that's something that that, you know, the guys and Sean taught me, is that, yes, I mean, that's part of the relationship, not kind of like demanding in that aspect of, like, you know, you do want to make sure that you know, you guys are on equal level and stuff, but don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about showing yourself love and respect. Don't constantly always put your partner first, even though you want to, even if they're like not needy, but like, again, they need all of that. Don't forget about yourself, because then that will put you a step backwards. And that's what I've learned. That's what I've done. I've kind of put my shit on the shelf and worried about other people. And then it's like when I kind of face my shit again, it's like you kind of fall on a whole panic, right? Because it's like you don't want to look uncomfortable, feel uncomfortable with a person, and it's not because they're like, okay, then they'll think that there's something wrong. And it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. It's there's stuff with me, because I've, put all my shit on the back burner. So yes, I do love differently. There's many aspects and filters that my love kind of goes through, which is weird, because I sometimes forget that, I'm important too, that what I feel and what I went through, and you just can't erase that. You can't just forget that. And even though, a lot of people would like that to be a good thing, like to just erase it and everything is fine, it's not. It's complicated. There's lots of layers to it, especially like in a relationship. And some days I hate it. I hate it that I'm this certain way and I can't be as carefree as I used to be, or how I see some relationships be. And again, I'm not comparing myself to like other relationships. I'm just like, sometimes it does seem easy on the outside when I know lots of things can be complicated, but I'm a complicated person to love and to allow myself to love, right? To give love. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. It's not an easy answer. It's not this easy one word yes and everything's perfect, or no and it's this way. It's a mixture of both, yes and no, that I do love differently. It's just the way I love is differently. The way I allow myself to love is very differently. And yes, I'm more cautious and lots of baggage, and it sucks, but if you find a partner that loves you for everything, your demons and all, even though it could be a challenge and exhausting at sometimes, it will be worth it, right? And 60 years down the road, when you have a family and potentially grandchildren, and you look back and you say, wow, everything I went through got me this, right? Was it easy? No. I hope to have that one day. I have a bunch of grandkids running around, and just looking back and thinking that I made it, But anyways, there is this video. There it is, guys. Again, not a very easy or straightforward answer, right? It never is, right? Anyways, guys, I hope you are staying safe. And Christmas is upon us, guys. I cannot believe it. We have a few weeks to go. And holy crap, my birthday's coming up too. Damn, another year. But I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm sending my love to you guys. So remember, guys, never give up. Always keep fighting. You're enough and you're very much loved. Until the next video, guys, I love you. Stay safe and we will talk soon.